Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you all for joining us today at Laredo City Hall for this important announcement that marks a major step forward for our region. Today, we're proud to share a federal milestone that will shape the future of binational trade, economic growth, and infrastructure in our community. The U.S. Department of State has officially transmitted its policy recommendation to the White House, supporting the expansion of the Colombia Solidarity Bridge expansion. Now, the final step before receiving the presidential authorization. Before we continue, I would like to recognize some of the distinguished guests that are joining us today. First and foremost, our Mayor of the City of Laredo, the Honorable Dr. Victor Treviño, and his wife, Ms. Rosa Marquez de Treviño. Council Member for District 3, the Honorable Melissa Cigarroa. U.S. Representative from Texas District 28, the Honorable Congressman Henry Cuellar. Representing the U.S. Senator, the Honorable Ted Cruz, is Joshua Rojas. Representing the Webb County Sheriff, the Honorable Martin Cuellar, is Commander Dennis Garcia. Representing the City of Laredo, we have Assistant City Manager, Mr. Steve Landin. Assistant City Manager, Mr. Jose Valdez Jr. Assistant City Manager and City Engineer, Mr. Ramon Chavez. And we also have our Bridge System Director, Ms. Elsa Hinojosa. We also have representatives from Laredo Motor Carriers Association, Mr. Jerry Maldonado. And representing COMSE, we have Brenda Renteria. Thank you all so much for being with us. To begin today's remarks, please join me in welcoming our Mayor of the City of Laredo, Dr. Victor Treviño, who continues to advocate for a stronger, more connected Laredo. Mayor.
Good morning, Dr. Victor Treviño, Mayor for the City of Laredo. We are here to announce and discuss very important milestones within Laredo's history of being a leader in international trade and commerce, which is the approval of the Laredo-Colombia Solidarity International Bridge by the State Department, which would increase the current capacity from 8 to 18 lanes. And as many of you know, Laredo-Colombia Solidarity International Bridge is one of 4 vehicular international bridges built on January 6, 1991, in an effort to relieve traffic from the congested downtown area. The bridge connects Laredo over the Rio Grande with Colombia, Nuevo León. It is owned and operated by the City of Laredo and the Mexican government, which makes it a unique relationship and provides an opportunity for us as a community to invest in our binational relationships. And I would tell you this, from discussions with Governor Samuel's office yesterday and this morning, our relationships with both governments of Nuevo León and Tamaulipas have never been stronger than what it is today. This announcement, which was made during the city's visit in March to the State Department and the White House during this legislative trip, was a big factor in decision-making process that had been several years in the making. To put this in context, this announcement and how we arrived at this point is the reason why we are here today. Because this anticipated presidential approval in the next couple of weeks, in my opinion, is probably one of the most significant and impactful strategic investment made by the United States, and it's only second to the expansion of the World Trade Bridge. That would not only ensure that our region remains number 1 in the Northern Hemisphere, but it will reinforce our security and commercial relationship with Mexico for generations to come. Moving then away from China, who has been slowly increasing their market presence in Mexico. This will also catapult Laredo as a global leader and employer in the international trade, which has seen an increase in trade year after year, to where we are today at $339 billion for 2024. Besides the incredible job creation that this expansion will provide, the Colombia Bridge will act as a complement to relieve the congestion from our existing World Trade Bridge traffic that is at capacity. These reductions in congestion will reduce the estimated 1.1 to 1.5 billion GDP loss we're seeing as a result of border delays, and it will also reduce the amount of emissions due to long idling. In addition to this, we will also see an enormous economic resurgence being created along Highway 255, which involves our current collaboration and MOU with Green Corridors, a multi-billion-dollar intelligent freight project, our legacy water partnership, which is part of the $7 billion to lease project, and over $50 million of permitted development along the 235-35 trade corridor. So you can see, this approval is one piece of very important foundation being formed for our community. But all of this starts and ends with having a good communication and teamwork, not just with our team in the United States, but with our Mexican counterparts. Now, with all this, would not have been possible without the changing of the law to allow this 120-day expedited process through the National Defense Authorization Act, which was made possible through the bipartisan advocacy and leadership of Congressman Cuellar, thank you, and Senator Cruz. And interestingly enough, I was talking to Senator Cruz's office and with the congressman about the upcoming presidential application, and we were reminded that our road to get here was not perfect, because people don't always agree. But the great thing that we have on our border is that we have the ability to talk about it with our Mexican counterparts. And unlike any other congressman anywhere else, Congressman Cuellar crosses political lines to make deals with people who may not be aligned politically, but was it best for the United States and our community and Laredo. And I want to thank him for that. And with that being said, I will pass the podium to Congressman Cuellar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, thank you so much, and I certainly want to thank you, Mayor, for your leadership, and I certainly want to thank the City Council, the administration, the city administration, because if it wasn't for your leadership, we wouldn't be here. I certainly also want to thank, I know Joshua's here on behalf of, good seeing you again, on behalf of Senator Ted Cruz, and as you know, this legislation that we passed, Senator Cruz on the Senate side, myself over here, is really a game changer. It really is a game changer. We haven't had anything like this, the impact that it will have on trade. So again, I want to thank Senator Cruz, and I know Josh is here, so again, send our best to the senator. And so again, this is what happens when we have bipartisan work up there in Congress. Let me also say what this legislation means. This legislation really means that Mexico, as you know, is our #1 trading partner, over $800 billion a year. Most of it comes through Laredo. If you look at, most of it comes through Laredo. But this means that as we work on getting those tariffs away and getting back to the revision of the USMCA, which is a strong foundation, this means that the trade is going to increase between the U.S. and Mexico. And this is why this legislation is important, because it will help increase the trade between our #1 trading partner and, of course, Canada. But the other thing, what it means is, what does it mean to Laredo? If you look at it, no other place will get 4, hopefully once we get the other 2 across the crossing line. But it means that no other place will potentially get 4 presidential permits. No other place has gone that permit, those 4 potential. We got the World Trade Bridge, we got the 4-5, Now the White House has the Green Courier, the private sector, and now that is working with the city. And then it will have Colombia also. That means our friends to the south, whether it's Tamaulipas and beyond, or whether it's Nuevo Leon and beyond. And yes, as the mayor said, we've been in communication with the governor, and the governor understands why this bridge is important, and this is why we need to have those constant communications with the other side. But it means that Laredo will have no other place like this for presidential permits itself. We got two, we need more. But we need to start looking beyond this presidential permits. This presidential permits, we have to have a long-term vision for our area, because this presidential permits don't happen every year. They don't happen. We probably won't get another one for maybe another 25, 30 years. I don't know, maybe sooner, but it's something that we need to look at to make sure that we get it right. So what does that mean for Laredo? And I certainly want to work with you. I was talking to CBP, making sure that as we look at not only the lanes, but we got to look at the infrastructure there. In there, make sure we have the right technology, the latest technology, right? Make sure that we have the right number of personnel, because we are going to have a lot more lanes, not only here, but at the Columbia and beyond that also. We got to have the personnel, the technology, and we got to set up this port in a right way. And by a right way, we need to sit down with CBP mayor, and I know y'all have been doing that, but we need to look at it in making sure not only we have the infrastructure, but in the past with David Higgerson, we've talked about having a tower like the airports have, so they can be up there and they can see all the movements and say, hey, open up this lane, do this, just the way they control air traffic. We need to have that. So we'll talk about how we can do that type of work itself. So this is why we need to look at it. And maybe it's up to the city. The legislation has been there since the 1990s, but when I was in the state legislature, I created a port authority for Laredo that Laredo controls, but works with the Mexican side. And maybe we need to look at that. Houston has it. Corpus Christi has it, New York has it, New Orleans has it, LA has it, other places have it, where revenues are dedicated to those ports to make sure that we don't have any traffic jams. By the way, they're using our ideas in Eagle Pass, and they're working on that in the state legislature to maybe set up a port authority in Eagle Pass, because they're looking beyond that. So again, just some food for thought. Now, going back to the presidential permits, a lot of people don't understand this. We understand that the World Trade Bridge is number one in the whole country, North America. Bigger than LA, bigger than Houston. You know, my Houston friends still think that Houston is bigger. I said, no. They said, well, we're number one in sea containers. I said, yeah, we gave up the Navy a long time ago at the Rio Grande, but we're the number one port. But a lot of people don't know that Colombia is number three in the southwest border. Number three, it's the World Trade Bridge, then it's the one in California, and then it's Colombia. And in the Laredo district, from Del Rio all the way down to Brownsville, we are number two for Colombia. So you have a World Trade Bridge in this Laredo district, Del Rio, Brownsville, and Colombia is number two. Now, but in the Southwest, we're number three. How do we get to number two for Colombia? And I think all we need to add, I believe in talking to CBP, about 800 more trailers a day, a month on that. And we can do that once we do the expansion. So Laredo will have the number one and number two in the all Southwest area, because we're thinking ahead. And that's what I'm saying. It's not only getting the presidential permits, but we gotta have the right infrastructure, personnel, technology, and maybe some sort of structure. I keep hinting on the Port Authority, but we gotta start looking forward on that. Now, The city, I know the city and the Port Authority, we can do it in such a way that the city will control the Port Authority. I know that, does it take revenues? Do we pay police? Do we pay that? We know all those things, but there's a way that you can set it up. If Houston can do it, Corpus Christi can do it, New York can do it, LA can do it, why not Laredo, where you dedicate everything on this? Finally, the last thing I want to say is in Washington, we're working, and I certainly asked the senator to consider this, is a land a maintenance also, a port, that is the port. Seaports have a maintenance trust fund. Land ports don't have a maintenance. I know, Jerry, as you know, and the custom brokers, they supported this in the past. We got letters of support. We just got to convince our colleagues that they just don't understand. They think a port maintenance for water, but why not for land? This will be a game changer if Senator Cruz and ourselves can look at this. And Joshua, we got the support. You know, we got all the national support on this. We just got to get it done. Maybe the defense authorization will be another place where we can look at it. And again, if we're able to pass that land port trust fund, and then with the work that Senator Cruz and I did this will definitely keep Laredo #1 for a long, long time. So again, I want to thank all of y'all for the work. It's a team effort. The private sector, I want to thank the private sector because again, we're here to make sure you have a CT pack that works. We're here to make sure that we keep our fees low, to make sure that we keep trade moving. The infrastructure, personnel, technology. So we'll work with the city and Senator Cruz and ourselves. Senator Corner, we want to work with you to make sure that we keep the border #1, and certainly Texas is #1, and Laredo is #1. So with that, thank you, and great job.
Thank you, Congressman. We also wanted to give the opportunity to U.S. Senator Ted Cruz's office. So if we can please help me welcome Joshua Rojas to the floor.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me, Mayor, Congressman, to be here, part of this exciting announcement. The Senator was very glad to see that the State Department met their deadline, which was in April, and they beat it by almost a month. So we're looking forward to making sure the White House meets their deadline, and they approve this within 60 days. And we'll be here for the announcement of that permit. The Senator and I had a conversation when I first joined his team a couple years back. Well, rejoined. I worked for him many years ago as well. I'm from Donna, Texas. I grew up in a little tiny travel trailer. Poverty was a serious issue for me growing up. And we talked about what South Texas needs, what the border communities need. And I told him the #1 thing we need are jobs. And he said, so what can I do to help bring those jobs? And I said, there are 3 big issues in the border area that are preventing investment, preventing jobs, preventing more high-paying jobs, and not just jobs that require 4-year degrees, jobs that you don't need to go to school for that long and you can go right to work and make a lot of money and provide for your family. And I said, well, border security, water, and infrastructure. And this is a key piece in infrastructure especially. And the Senator's been proud to support this, to join with the Congressman in a bipartisan way and get this done. And we're looking for more ways to support jobs and infrastructure. And so we'll certainly look at what you've suggested and see if that's something we can do. But happy to be here. Congratulations. And we'll see y'all again soon.
Thank you, Mr. Rojas, for being with us as well as part of this key initiative that has been going on for quite some time. So thank you, everyone. This will conclude our press conference, but of course, our mayor, congressman, and everyone else will be here for any questions, especially for media. Thank you so much.